Hey, here we are. We're live. All right. Another great episode of The Hiring Room. I am super excited. As the audience knows, I get a lot of people I know on this because I know great people. So why not? But so this is probably my number one guest. Sorry, everybody else. But Becky Norris is joining me. And Becky is a very dear friend of mine. We've known each other for what, 25 years?
Yeah,
Yeah. So she's the
1999.
Jesus. So, God. So she is the CFO of North Star Aerospace. It's still called North Star, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. North Star
But it now
Aerospace.
has a tagline that says a GE Aerospace company.
Well, of course. Yes, of course. So GE just acquired them. It was 100% acquisition, right? They acquired the whole kit and caboodle. And she's kind of heading all of that up. But before we get into all of that good stuff, Becky and I met when well, let me think about this. You had sold the restaurant. All right. So she was a controller before. She left the corporate world. She's an entrepreneur, you guys. She started a restaurant. And then did you sell it or did you just get out of the restaurant?
Okay, so I got the restaurant
I
right
don't
after I
remember.
left Farrington. And
Yeah.
then I sold my shares of the restaurant because UPM dangled a really nice promotion and said, if you want this, you have to give up the restaurant.
So, when we met, you still had the restaurant?
Yeah.
How come I didn't know that? Actually, I know that because I went there once. I remember now. Well, that was crappy of them.
The whole Gorelli One crowd was there at some point in time.
I'm sure we were. Oh my God. So you gave up the restaurant and then we had placed you at UPM as a senior accountant, which I remember that it was so funny because I was like, isn't this kind of a low title for you? And you're like, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And I think in 1 year you were a director.
Yeah, I went from a senior financial accountant to accounting supervisor to corporate controller and was already on my way to divisional CFO within a year and a half.
Was it that quick?
Well, ended up
I
being as
know it.
long as Don Pearson stayed with us because he took the interim position between before me and as this divisional CFO, and then he got that deal out with another company, and he was off and running by then.
But you got there before, but you were there way before Don Pearson was because we placed Don Pearson's. We had already moved offices when we placed Don Pearson.
Yeah, Erica Repo was actually the controller at the time he hired me. By the time I left UPM, Erica
Yeah.
was global CFO.
Yeah, Erica, I remember him.
Yeah,
He was a young lad.
he was a youngin'.
He was a
You know,
youngin', and he was such a nerd. I love you, Erica, but he was kind of a nerd, right?
he was kind of a nerd.
He was kind of a nerd. Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah, I remember with him one time, we had some kind of a temporary guy in there, and I don't think he reported to you. I think he reported to Erica. And this guy, and he thought that he was all that in a bag of chips, this guy, and he wasn't really. But Erica wanted to retain him through a project.
Hmm.
So instead of calling me about it, he just got this guy in a meeting and threw a 5K bonus at him for a completion bonus. He was an employee, you know what I mean? And I
Yep.
was like, why didn't you, okay, time out. Why didn't you
This is
call
not
me?
Finland.
Yeah, why didn't you call me and let's talk about what this would look like? I mean, it's not like we got paid on the bonus, which is not the point, but I was just, I don't think you needed to do that much. I think his name was John Berglund.
Yeah,
I think the guy's
he
name
was the
was John.
cash management person that Steve ended up replacing.
Okay,
That's
so
how Steve
so
Mostowski
you
came
know
in.
so you know who that is then, yeah. So
Yeah.
I was like, 5,000, are you sure that you need to do that? Anyway, good for John Berglund, I guess. I mean, UPM was how big? What, 50 billion?
UPM worldwide was 45 billion.
I mean, they were
North
huge.
America and North America was 3 billion. North and South America, which is ultimately what I had underneath me, was 4 billion.
That was such a good run for you guys.
No, it was. But it was such a diehard accounting position. It was truly my only real diehard accounting position my whole career.
Really?
But,
What do you mean? You really only stayed in your accounting lane there? But you were
well,
rolling
I did
out.
IT still too. I had all the ERP teams.
Yeah.
But
You had
I
all
mean,
the SAP rollout to all the
yep,
division. And remember, you were doing all the IFRS teaching. Remember, that's when IFRS came to
yeah,
be? And you
yep.
were
That's when
traveling.
SOX came too.
Yeah, I mean, that is accounting though, right? I mean, IFRS is
Yeah.
accounting. So, yeah, I see
Yep.
what you mean. So you were a diehard accounting, but you still were doing reporting, weren't you?
Yeah, I had reporting, but I had no operational side, right? I did
Yeah.
consolidations and intercompany settlements and
Right.
shared, right? But
Yeah.
all accounting process and IT process, because I always had the ERP team, the business ERP team reporting through me, but
Yeah.
I didn't have the operational. Like I didn't get a chance to truly do manufacturing accounting for a paper mill, which would have been really good in my background.
Mm.
I certainly knew what was going on, but I never
What it rolled
actually.
up into, right? Because I remember Aunt Willie always working with the roll up on the plants and or in the mills and stuff.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what? I don't know if I ever told you this. You this won't be a surprise to you. But I was doing the search last year for Calumet Carton for a new procurement manager because one of the gal had been there for 30 years was retiring. They're
good.
losing a bunch of people, right? And so Bob had said to me, you know who Bob is? Bob had
Yeah,
said to me, if you get someone from a mill or you get, okay, that's interesting. So I went after a couple of people out of a mill. And there's a mill, and I think it's in
Whiting, Indiana.
no, there's one in the Elsip area.
Okay,
There's a mill in Elsip, and I don't know it, but I'll find out.
it's an IP. I bet you. I bet you it was international paper,
Maybe
or
I
at
don't
least it was at one point. I don't
I
know.
don't know, but you would not believe how much money those people were making in that mill.
Really,
She
that is a
yes,
shock.
and she was like, "It's such a lucrative business that they make so much." Is that what you know it to be?
Well, certainly it was for UPM because UPM really they left all the other paper market with the exception of they wanted to be the last man standing for the last magazine ever produced. And then of course they're competing nose to nose and toes to toes with Avery in the label industry. But they backed out of all the rest of the industry and that's when they took off on their margins. They became the most profitable paper mill
With
in the
the
world.
mills.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe your last run should be in a mill. I'm telling you, like, the kind of money this woman was making for her position was she was like procurement manager, almost $200,000 a year. It was nuts. And wasn't a big mill, and I was like, "You're not gonna be able to ever leave." Like, the kind of money that you're making, and it was the benefits and everything was kinda crazy, and she's like, "Yeah, the margins on the mill is really crazy." So I never knew that. So anyway, I told Bob the bad news. I'm like, "I'm not gonna get someone out of a mill, but maybe you should go." I go, "Maybe you should go to a mill."
You need to change jobs,
Yeah,
right?
I told that to Brian. I'm like, maybe you need to be in a GM of a mill because it seems like there's some cash in the mill or something. I don't know. It was interesting. Anyway, that was a sidebar. But so one of the things that's so interesting is when you were listening to the podcast with Denny, right?
Yeah.
Some of the things that he was talking, I think he just threw in, I was a mentor to make me feel good.
I do not believe that.
When he said, you're a mentor to, I'm like, oh, come on, I am not your mentor. But I said, just doing that
You
to
know
make
what?
me feel good.
I wanna beg to differ that with you. You know what?
Really?
You were a confidant and an advisor to him. He knew that no matter what he was going through in his career, even when he was working with me, he knew it was safe to call you and you would give him honest advice, and
I
that
guess
is
that's
so
true. I always
critical.
think of a mentor as someone that well, I guess I was teaching him some things, but,
You
I was
were.
I was worried about him when he was coming out of elite dental because
I know.
he was not in a good space. I mean, he was
He was
just
not. Yeah,
exhausted,
yeah.
but everything's just calm in his life right now. But anyway, so one of the things that's so we're talked about a couple things about you that are unique. And maybe this isn't unique, but I think it's not prevalent. Maybe I should say that. People follow you. So
They do.
people that work for you follow you to the next place, to the next, like almost blindly follow you. Why do you think that is?
The first and foremost, I think, for everybody is that I defend my people, right? But I defend my people because I'm hard on my people. And I always try to preface to people up front, I will never ask of you anything I wouldn't ask of myself. And when I start with that piece of it, and then I ask a lot out of them, they deliver and they deliver. And if something happens, whether it doesn't hit the way we want or whatever, I'm always going to defend my people. And that's where it starts. It's also because the bigger thing, and I think I learned this really at UPM, which is where a lot of these people started with me,
Yeah. Well, you were
in my
there for so long.
13, 14 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
The answer was, is I kept promising them that while it's hard, we're going to make it better. My goal is not for you to work 60 hours a week. My goal is for you to have a very fulfilling 40-hour week job, and we're still achieving our improvement goals. So how do we attack that? And everything that we do focuses on how do we take unnecessary work, or how do we put automation in so that we can do what we do best, which really isn't data entry. That's not what we do. The
Right.
value we add is by running the business and helping the business understand and things like that.
So you really think so it's interesting. So you say you're yeah, when you say you're hard on your people, I mean, I know a lot of people that work for you, right? I place
Mhm.
a lot of the people that work for you.
Yeah. Every
Um,
one of them
yeah,
practically, yes.
almost every one of them, which has been really fun. I think though, if I try to look at it like, objectively and taking our friendship out of it, if I look at it objectively, some as I was trying to figure out what's the formula of a leader. I guess that's what I'm trying to get to. People are listening, people are developing into leaders. You know, what we do is we promote the people that are good technically, and then we expect them to be good leaders, right? And some
Yeah,
people right? And some people grow into it, and some people never grow into any of it. Some people flay around and figure it out. Some people never figure it out. Some people have another mentor that they model, right? And then they
right.
learn these things from. And so if I think about some of your characteristics that make you such a great leader, besides the fact that you're really smart, so you're probably know more than your people. To some, I mean, you can't in what you do. There's got to be areas, of course, you don't know everything. You've got
Yeah,
a lot that rolls into you, right? Denny brought that up about how some of the things he learned from you was he really protects his people. So that must have really resonated with him. Where when you have a boss that even when you screw up is going to, that doesn't mean you're not going to have a conversation with them, but you're not going to throw them in front of the bus. You're going to kind of handle it. People have said it's Becky's people. So you got a problem with Becky's people. You better come to Becky because
yeah,
you got a problem with with one of her people. Then you got a problem with her.
exactly. That's the way I look at it.
So they must feel that that's that feeling of they're protected. It's almost a primal, somebody has your back, right? Somebody is
Mhm.
protecting you. And I also think is that honesty. A lot of people aren't really honest. They play a lot of games. There's a hidden agenda,
Politics.
politics, but you even see politics within the manager and their people sometimes, right? Where they're not
True.
really right? Where then where they're not really being forthright.
Well, and I think some of it, though,
I'm not
isn't that they're
really
not necessarily forthright. It's because they think they understand their people,
okay.
right? Because to me, I think what people look at me when I manage is that I do not manage any two people identically
Just like
because they're
children.
not.
Right,
They're right. Exactly. You
right,
don't love one of them more than the other one, but they're all different and you have to handle them differently, right?
right. To get the most out of
And
them.
yeah, right. It's finding out what makes that person tick and
Yeah.
what makes them happy and how we can achieve it and both get our goals. And I here, another standard, Becky. If I can give you 50% of your day every day doing what you love, give me the other 50%. Right? I mean,
You
because
talk
people
about that a
forget.
lot, and you're really good at moving those chess pieces around your
I
board.
that I do, and I do a lot of that.
You do. And
Whenever
it's
you
like
bring someone new in and you can throw the balls up in the air and refigure it out.
yeah, and you also don't hold it against them. You're kinda like, "Okay, you're really good at this, but you're really suck at that. So guess
Yeah,
what? I'm gonna give you more of what you're really good at, and I'm gonna take away the stuff that you suck at."
right.
But you don't
Exactly.
attack the person. You're just
Right.
moving around the tactical responsibilities that you have to move.
Because people look at it and go, again, who doesn't wants to fail? I'm sorry. Nobody wants to
No
fail.
one, no, no one
Right?
knows. No,
And when we're not good at something, it's painful for us. So
right,
if I can find something, like my first goal would be to teach you or have you learn how to be good at something.
right,
But if it's not going to be and somebody else is better at it, they're going to be happier and you're going to be happier. It's two wins in my eyes.
right.
I am I am the queen of procrastination. If I don't know how to do something or I'm still trying to figure it out, I'm terrible and it catches me, right? So I
Really?
know my own experience until I get into it. I'm like, now I got it. Okay, now I can make a plan. You know what I mean?
Makes sense, right? If you're struggling with something, you don't wanna do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
you
it's
throw it
it's
to the side.
painful.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's painful.
and
Right, it's
that's
kind
why
of
that's
that
why I say that.
Kind of that instinct, you either move towards pleasure or you run away from pain, right? We're always
Right.
moving or running away from something. So if you were talking to a younger CFO, I'm gonna throw a number out there, 40-year-old, just kinda coming into themselves, because, we're a
Yeah.
lot older than that, but who's counting?
I have children that age, right?
Yeah, I know, right? What would your advice be? And meaning, if there's 3 things you could tell them that could change the dynamics or make their life easier as a leader with their people, do you have any words of wisdom that you would tell that person? And you
Okay,
can tell this is not in our script that we talked about.
um, we're focusing it solely on the leadership of a person, a part the CFO's development, right?
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
a leader.
As a leader in any area.
I'm going to tell you right now, the number one thing you do in your life is lead your people and develop your people. And this is really hard in a dynamic like today, where companies are using less resources and people are just stacked up. And you know what? You have to always remember the most important thing is you are only as good as the people that work for you. Because
Right?
bottom line, you don't want me making a journal entry anymore, right? I can
Yeah.
tell you conceptually how to do it. I can tell you what I want it to do, and I can tell you why I need it to be done. But it would take me 2 hours to figure out the system and what the codes, and you just don't want it. You don't. And that's because that's the development. You're as good as the people that are getting you there, right? And so that is my first and foremost, my biggest priority
Keep
is
developing
managing
them.
and developing people. Yes.
So developing their skill set, developing or any skill set that they need.
Any skill set that they need, depending on
But
their
how do you
role.
define leading? How do you define leading? Because I will tell you from conversations over the years with your people, is that you always know what's going on in your group, man. You always have a pulse on what's cooking. You just know what's happening. You don't need a weekly meeting to
No.
know what's going on. How do
You
you
know,
do that?
I didn't know what a one-on-one was until I worked at WasteBuilt for Ed. And Ed was so adamant, and I'm like, "I don't get this. What is the point of this?" He goes, "You need that face-to-face time." I said, "If I have to wait for a regularly scheduled meeting to talk to my people and know what's going on, I'm out of the loop."
You're like, "What do you
I
mean?
know.
My one-on-ones are every day."
Yes.
Yeah,
It's like feedback on a performance report. If
yeah,
I wait till I get to a performance report to tell you you've got a problem, we're
yeah,
we're screwed. We
yeah,
blew it.
yeah.
We blew you. That's why the everyday real-time conversations, especially when you need to have performance discussions or we need to change the process or whatever it is, it has to be real time. And I have to have a door open. Now, don't get me wrong, there's times at North Star where the walls are very thin and people are afraid to go near the door because I'm yelling on the other side of the door. I get that. But when I open the door, I open the door with a smile on my face and everybody's like, "Oh my God."
I don't know, I hear that there's a queue up outside your door all the time. "Hello, can I talk to you? Can I talk to you?" Oh my god, that's exhausting. So when you're talking about leading your people, it sounds like it's to drill down farther, it's development and timely communication.
Absolutely. Positive and negative, timely communication.
Positive, negative.
A negative has to be addressed because if it doesn't, but if you don't remember to do the positives, they feel kind of beaten sometimes. So
Yeah,
we always have some kind of fun little thing to make us remember to talk about the positive too.
yeah.
I don't know if you remember Don Pearson, but back in the UPM days, we did a employee engagement survey to determine how engaged our staff was. And the employee engagement survey said, do you compliment your employees every 7 days, whether they need it or not, right?
Every
And
7
I just
days.
every 7 days you should and I just laughed because Steve Mostowski would sit in the corner. I mean, there's a reason I call Steve Eeyore, woe is me and me is woe, right?
How is retirement with him anyway? Have you talked
Oh
to him?
God, he's loving it. He's doing little projects here and there, but he and his daughter are
Good.
starting to travel more. He's actually smiling every time I talk to him now. I love
Instead
it.
of being an Eeyore, huh? Is he still
Yep,
doing
yep.
projects for you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't know that. That's good. It's
Yeah,
it's good
we're
for his
working on a bank integration. Steve's
it's good
done
for his brain. It's good for
it
him.
is, and he did 3 of them with me over the years,
Yeah,
so I know he can handle it.
yeah.
But Don would come out of his office and start to walk around the cube center and start heading that way. And Steve would look up and he'd look over at me and he'd just hold up 7 fingers. And I just can't help but laugh because he's like,
Hilarious.
it's day, he would check it off on a calendar. It's day 7. Don's making the rounds.
That's so Don, right? Because I'm sure
Right.
Don won't listen to this, but when's the last time you spoke to him? I don't know him. I mean, I've met him once or twice, but
I think I spoke to him.
he had a couple of big exits. Did he get out of the
He
game or?
did. Oh yeah. He's left a jacuzzi now too. I think he's probably retired, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. But he
Yeah.
got the big yacht and he's sailing the Mackinac when he can. He's got a beautiful condo in Fort Lauderdale. He did well for himself.
Yeah.
His
He
exits were
just,
good.
he knew how to surround himself with the right people.
He did.
And he was
He
good
did.
politically. He's
Yeah.
very, yeah.
And I remember when, he was sat on the board of directors about Brilliant, right?
Yeah.
And, they tried to talk me into come working at Brilliant. And he called me afterwards and he goes, I know I sit on the board, but Becky, it's not you. You need to do you. And that was the most personal advice I think he ever gave me. But
Oh, so
I learned to work.
he came back and
Yeah.
told you the truth, huh? Even though he was
Yeah.
on the board. I mean, yeah, maybe put you on the board, maybe they should have
But
put you
I
on the
liked
board.
working for Don because I could
I
just
know
be
you
brutally
did.
honest with him,
Yeah, I know that you guys did really well together and you really
We
couldn't be
did.
any different. Because
Yeah.
he's like Mr. Model, Mr. Polish, he was the face, right? He was really good on
He
the
was.
face side of things. So really, it's what he did really well.
Yeah. But UPM wasn't that type of company, so it was never the right fit for him.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. He would go over. I remember when he got the divisional CFO role, he planned 5 days in Finland and making sure he met with all the right people. And when I came over, they go, oh, you didn't do the tour like Don? And I went, no, I know all you. And they go, yeah, that's not a thing for us.
So they felt like he was being insincere or disingenuine? Did
Disingenuine. Yeah. Yeah, I
that's
would
how
do
they
it.
felt. I mean, the Finnish are odd in their own way, right?
They
So,
are. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, but are they pretty honest? Are they pretty much you kinda get what you get with them?
They're very much you get what you get, but you just don't get it often. They're very introverted. Right?
Got it.
Yeah.
So you're always kinda like prying a can open.
Yes.
So you gotta
You
get
really
information.
have to work hard to build a relationship with someone who's finished to get them to open up with you.
And that was there. Wasn't her name Diane? She
Yeah.
wasn't from Finland though, was she?
No, no. She was
She
from
was
Minnesota.
American, right? But
Yes.
she seemed very buttoned up to me.
She was very formidable for working in a paper mill in northern Minnesota, about 2 hours outside of the largest town around her. Um,
She had a bigger she had a lot of she had some posture about her,
she
definitely.
did. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. She definitely had presence. I remember that about her when I met her. Oh my god,
I
that was
always
so long
think
ago.
formidable is the right word for her.
Yeah, that is a good word for it. So let's talk about mentoring. I don't even know what the answer to this question is for you. Who
I love
was
mentoring people.
You love it. Let's talk about that. But before we go down that road, who mentored you? Like, I don't really even know. Who is one of your biggest influencers? Where did you get Becky's style? Because I will tell you something to let the crowd know my son works for you.
Yeah.
And he'll tell me funny stories like, oh boy, did Becky get mad at so and so yesterday? Holy shit, or something like that. And I always say, don't model yourself exactly like her leadership style because it doesn't work for everybody.
It's a risky thing.
It's a risky style and it's always worked for her, but I wouldn't I don't think you're in a position to really pull that card yet. It's so funny. But where did you get your style that works for you?
And I don't have a person I can point at and say I got my style from this because I'm not like other people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What I would say is that I never thought I would make it to this level.
Really?
Yes. Well, no, wait, let me explain
You're
that
so
though.
smart though.
But
You
but
knew you
that's
were
it.
smart enough.
I knew I was smart enough, but I'm also so direct and I don't
Okay.
play politics.
Okay.
And it pains me some days when people, and I just get irritated when I'm sitting in a meeting, like, I don't have enough hours in the day for you to sit here and play politics. put it on the table. Let's talk about it. And let's move on,
So that's why you thought you wouldn't get to that level. I remember,
Right.
do you remember when we were, of course you remember, we were working on Cal Carton stuff,
Yeah.
and we can't talk about what happened publicly about some things, but some things happened that you were, okay, this is not good. And you weren't happy about it. And you said to me, you called me and you're like, I don't know how you stay so calm. To me, I don't know how you can just, just keep calm, keep in the same rhythm. She was because I just want to go through the phone and strangle them.
Yep.
This was a good combination, right? It's almost like a good cop, bad cop. I can kind of, maneuver things wrong. But that's just because I've been client facing for 25 years. Because you can't really say what you want to say to the client. Like,
Right.
what are you doing? Right? You can't do that. Like, you never have.
Dumbass is not an allowed description.
Yeah, I can't do that. It'd be like, I'm not going to hire you again. So you have to make sure you're always making people feel good and that they're heard and that they're seen, and it's tiring. So that's why you thought you were never going to make it, because you couldn't play the politics. But you're aware of it now.
I'm very self-aware, and
Yeah,
I've
you're
developed
self.
that's come with therapy/coaching, right?
Mhm, mhm,
That's if I look at anyone for the reason that I am what I am today, it's from being in therapy/coaching, right?
mhm.
Because it was something that I struggled so immensely with. I knew I could compete professionally, right? I could do the job from technical perspective.
Well,
But
you're well spoken in meetings too, because I've been in them.
yeah, that is true, and that is one thing that I didn't realize until a little later in my career, how people a very interesting story, and I don't even know if I've told you when it was down in I
No,
was down
tell
at,
me.
Spartan de Leon Springs, right?
Okay.
And you were coming
Yeah.
down, flying down to help hire me people down there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I was in a moral battle with the VP of procurement. And he was in my office, and he was the kind of guy that was he just had to get it out, right? And okay, you want to go there, dude? I can go. I'll go nose to nose and toes to toes with you.
Yeah.
It was so bad that one of my managers came down the hallway and yelled at the vice president, "You can't talk to a woman that way." And I'm laughing because I'm just screaming at him because it's the only way he was going to listen.
Yeah, you're
You
like,
know,
I'm good. I got it.
got it.
Yeah.
Joe, I love you, and
I was
you
gonna
keep
say,
being you.
was that little Joe?
There was little Joe, yeah. Best guy in the world, I'll tell you. If I could have a Joe today, I would be in heaven.
Do you keep in
But
touch with him at all? Have you kept in touch with him at all?
no, once
No.
he retired, he and his wife kinda went off into the sunset to enjoy their lives, so
Got it. I didn't
I
think he
didn't
was
wanna.
married. I thought he
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
married.
he is, yeah, and, now but I keep up with Mark Bedore when I'm down by the condo
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Florida,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
Mark talks to him periodically, so he
Okay.
always
Got it.
says
I know
hi
he
to
was a
him
pretty
for me.
smart guy, this
Yeah,
Joe.
but I learned that that's how I get into the different thing. We got to this point where we finally came to an agreed upon approach that the 2 of us were gonna move forward with, and I'm like, "Okay, let's go." And he stops and he goes, "Oh, no, 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 you need to present." And I'm like, "Why? It's us. We're agreeing, you know?" And he goes, "Oh, no, no, no. People listen when you talk. You
Well,
say it in a
who's
way that
he?
you."
Who's
What?
he? Who was
This
he?
was the VP of procurement.
Oh, okay, the guy you were fighting with, you
Right.
came to this terms with.
Yes.
Okay. And he's
And
like,
then
"No, you're the one
he's
that
like,
has
"No, no, no,
to."
no, you have to be the presenter." And I have found that happen so many times in my life. People are like, "You just say it in a way that other people can't argue with you on it."
Yeah, you know what though? I've seen you in action too. Like, you really should. You know what you should do when you retire? We should develop a what I want to say, a speech for you, and you should do some speaking engagements for for different businesses stuff, because you do have a really good speaking style, and it's just probably inherent in you. It's just something that comes, it's probably just a natural ability for you that other people just can never get. You're articulate, you're very articulate, and you don't lose your way when you're trying to make a point either.
That's true too.
You
Yes.
don't.
I
You
catch
explain.
myself at that.
I also think too, it's probably a developed skill because you love to mentor and develop your people, and so you're a good teacher. And so you kind of go after, you kind of, when you speak about things, you kind of go in a very orderly, logical manner that leads people to a conclusion, which is kind of what you do when you teach, right?
Yep.
So maybe
So
that's where it's coming from. I don't know.
what are my top 5 personality profile, right? Number 1 is strategic, which is
My
why I
gosh,
love
I have
this.
to go do that.
Yes.
That's
Number
that. What is it called again?
It's the engagement survey. That's your strength finders.
The
Strength
strength
finders.
finders.
Love this one.
But that's
It's
is
the
that the
big
one is that the one we were talking about that that is the company that does the company that does those
surveys. They do
yeah, what
surveys all the time. Gallup.
are they?
Gallup.
Gallup.
Yes, it was
Gosh,
Gallup.
we and I
I
talked about this
actually
a
have a
while
strength
ago.
finders book around here somewhere on this in this
I've read
office.
the book, but I need to take
You
that
do.
Gallup test.
It's still my favorite one. I think it's the most
Although I'm
applicable.
kind of afraid to see what they're going to say about me.
Well, wait, you come on, you got to remember the stories, right? So my personality profile is strategy, arranger, activator, self-assurance, and focus, which is probably the toughest one, right? But when you said what you just said is you present in a way that people understand, right? It's my brain. I laugh and say this. It's like a big flow chart. And every time somebody comes in and we talk about something, I'm thinking, looking at the sky as I'm trying to figure out where it fits in the flow chart. So I get those dependencies, and those are things that people don't see easily,
I
right?
don't think like that at all. And I can't problem solve tech stuff at all. But you know who thinks like that is my son Kenneth. My son,
Really?
he said his whole brain is like a big flow chart in his head.
Yep. Me
And I was
too.
like, "What?" Because I almost had to call him about something that I couldn't figure out. I gotta call him about this thing that I'm trying to work on, this tech stuff that I was working on. I couldn't figure out the relationship between these things. I was working on this marketing funnel, and the funnel that was the aesthetics, right? Kind of the copy, but it wasn't in order, right? So you had this would come first, this would come second, and then they had a workflow, and the workflow was attached to the funnel, but I couldn't understand the relationship. I mean, I couldn't get it. And I was like, I need to call Kenneth because I can't understand. And I was like, he doesn't know the program. He's not gonna be able to figure out in 5 minutes. He's gonna have to get in there, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay. I took one of my methylation blue and I was like, I popped one of those. I was like, sit down and just listen to these stupid videos. And and then it clicked. And it finally clicked. It finally clicked. There was a big piece I was missing there. And it was actually a function. It wasn't inherently it. There was a timer on the funnel that they built inside the funnel that you were triggering by dates. But the workflow also had its own counter independent of it that could send emails independent of the other counter.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway, it took me days to figure this out. And really, I hired a guy to do it in October and he never met his deadline and totally squirreled on me. And I ended up with this stupid problem. Anyway, that's a long way of saying I don't think like you do. So
Well, your
I wish I
first
did.
question to me today was about what are certain skills of mine that are strong in the leadership area. And that's my third personality profile. It's activator, right?
Okay.
If you want it done, get out of my way, right? I do you
True.
know, and I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I have had two bosses in my career in two different companies independently call me General Patton.
Was it a compliment? No.
Yes, because they were always so excited. It's like, whew, we know she's going to get it done. We're just going to give it to her and get out of her
General
way.
Patton is going to rally those troops and get this shit done.
Done. If you don't want it done now, don't tell me to get it done.
Oh my gosh. But that's good because you execute, right? A lot of times I'm the idea person and the shiny object person, and then I have to force myself to
Well,
execute. Yeah, I have to force myself to stay the course, Renee. Just stay the course. Just stay the course. And I really just want to go, what's my creativeness? I want to go over the other side. Like, what's going on over there? Or maybe that's interesting. Or it's always like, well, maybe that's my solution. Or maybe that's my solution. Or maybe that's my solution. You know? And then when you get into it, it's like you feel like none of them are your solution. I don't know what it is.
because you gave yourself too many options.
No, I know. All right. So activator. Okay. So where are we at? So we talked about activator. What were the other ones?
The other one's self-assurance, which people mistake for being competitive. I'm like, I'm not competitive. I'm not competitive at all. I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And if I know
So
it, I know it.
you're not competitive. I'm horribly competitive.
I know you are. I was listening to you talk about that with Denny, about even in sports and when your kids were young. And I'm like, yeah, no. If my husband could only figure this out, our retirement would be much easier
Why? What do you mean?
because he loves to debate things with me, and I don't
But
like to debate things.
I don't like to do that. I don't
I
like
don't.
that kind. No, 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 that's not interesting. I'm not competitive and I have to win politically with debates or to prove my point. I'm competitive about, I guess, maybe winning in things that I'm invested in. So if I'm not
Sure.
invested in it, I don't really care about it. Like politics, you know me, I'll never even, I don't care. No, no, my son Garrett, he will go to the mat. He's so, oh my God, dude, stop. You're being aggressive. Don't do this. But no, so that's interesting. So I am a competitive, but only about things I care about.
See, and people think because I'm so self assured about what I know, that I'm competitive and just in their face and trying to win. And it's like, no, I know what I know. If I don't
Yeah.
know it, I'm not going to I'm not going to argue. I'll tell you what I think I know. And I'll be very clear that I only think I know this, or this is what, and of course, as I get older and the memory's a little bit weaker than it used to be, I would do more of that than I did before. But I've had people say, well, you're so competitive. No, I don't need to win to win. I know what I know. And I'm just telling you, I know it.
Yeah, I would say my observation, I would say I would agree because you don't have any problem saying you don't know either.
Yes. Do you remember when I got really upset when Mark Madore called me when I was working he was he was the GM of the plant in DeLeon Springs. He called me up from his office and he just lets go. He goes, "Do you always have to be the expert at everything?" And I
Kind
just started now remember, at
kind
this
of
time,
remember this.
I was designing his computer system for him to get them out of trouble in the government compliance world. But I started laughing, and that only made it madder. I go, "No, I don't have to be an expert at everything, but if you'd hire a few more, I would be less of an expert on other topics. You just don't have any experts."
I'm forced to be the experts.
I had to be which is why I loved Joe so much, right?
Right.
Because Joe was a quintessential expert. And
Yeah.
I just knew that I had him in my back pocket anytime I needed something, he was there and he was going to tell me what I needed. And I didn't have to waste the energy of researching it and studying it.
He wasn't a man of many words either, right? So you
No.
didn't have to, yeah, so he was probably like my brother. He was kinda easy. You kinda gave him what you needed. He kinda just got it done,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So of all the things you've done, let's start back. We have UPM, and from UPM we did some consulting, and then we went to Spartan, and from Spartan we went to WasteBuilt, and then WasteBuilt we went to GM or North Star Aerospace.
Sure.
Now let's think about that. We had a UPM wasn't a sale, they just collapsed the North America divisions, right? They
Well,
moved some things around.
I taught them how to build a shared services center worldwide. I outsourced my job out to
That's right,
India.
they didn't do it in the US.
Yeah.
Did they do it in India?
Well, they did some of it in India. KPMG took over most of the stuff that
Oh, they
I
outsourced it
did.
to KPMG? Okay.
Yeah, because of the tax and pension side of the world in the US was so different, and
Yeah,
they offered me a great job to stay on, but I took that early retirement option because of my daughter being sick at that time.
yeah, yeah,
It was
yeah.
just a perfectly wonderful solution, and when I came out of Kate being getting her into Mayo and getting her life back in order, I just sat there and stared at myself and going, "Okay, I better do something." Don't you remember the story? It was Tommy's graduation from college, and I yelled at Jim, I go, "We can't leave." And he goes, "Why?" I said, "My nails don't match my purse." And he looks at me and goes,
People
"What?"
don't know this about Becky Norris. She's very well groomed. What?
And I'm like, "My God, I need to get a job." Those words just came out of my mouth.
That is hilarious. You're like, "Oh boy, this is my biggest problem."
This is the
So this
only
is
problem I
interesting.
got right
This
now.
is interesting because here's what I remember. Okay, let me think about this. I don't recall all of these happening at the same time. I recall sitting outside of your cabin house in Michigan on
Okay.
the lawn. You were not working. You had just taken the package. Think you were a couple months in of not working, and we were sitting there.
I remember this.
Do you remember this? We were
Yes.
contemplating life, whatever we were doing, but I don't remember that I don't remember that in sync with Kate.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was actually, like, early spring. We were wrapped up in blankets sitting in folding chairs out by the water, and we were
Yeah.
contemplating
But you
life.
also didn't we also just have a current surgery?
I had well, I did have the big surgery was, like 6, 7 months before that.
Yeah, I think you were in
That was
rehab
the
still on that. I think you were
Yeah,
still having
yes.
some issues with that.
But I
Would that be
just got
correct?
Kate accepted it at Mayo because that was at the end of March when I took her up to Mayo for the first time.
I don't
She
remember
had
all of that
Yeah, she hadn't pulled her out of college yet because
because
she
of her
was starting
headaches.
to Yes, the headaches were so bad, and I brought her home for the rest of the semester
Got
and
it.
got her into Mayo.
Got
So,
it.
thank God I had the time on my hands to do all that research,
Right,
right?
right, and I don't remember Mayo being that you said were you and is Mayo's the one that came up with the therapy for the, Botox therapy, right?
Correct.
And
Yes.
she still does that, doesn't she?
Well, to be honest with you, she has not had it done since she got pregnant. She was too afraid that there would be some, and she's not, I think she finally got enough built up in her body, because it's been 15 years now.
Right,
But, I think she
interesting.
finally yeah, so they said someday it would get to the point where you really only need to do it at once a year, but in Colorado, legally, they have a law that says you have to do it every 3 months. She's like, "I don't want it every 3 months." I'm like,
What do you
"Well,
mean
you
a
can come back
law?
here and"
Why would you have to do
They have such weird medical processes
That's
in
weird.
Colorado.
Yeah, that's
It's all
strange.
around this, their whole world of being the first to everything, and I think it's
Really?
hideous.
Do you
I think
know
it's hideous.
I've never been to Colorado. I've
It's
never been there.
beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
She's at the base of the of Pikes Peak, and it's a beautiful
Oh,
view on her back porch, but
yeah.
that's it.
Also super expensive, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
super expensive.
Yeah. Okay, so we were talking so WasteBuilt was your first sale, right?
No,
No, Spartan was. Spartan
Spartan was the
sold.
first sale. They sold to Cerberus, yes.
So Spartan was the first sale, WasteBuilt was the second sale,
Mhm.
and now
North
this
Star
been the
was the
third.
third.
Okay, so tell me, out of all 3 sales, where did you feel that you had to stretch the most? I have a million questions about selling, but where did
Okay,
you
so let me explain something to you. All 3
Yeah.
of them were different structures of private equity.
Mm,
Cerberus is the type of private equity company which personally I love the model that Cerberus uses. They have the M&A side, which is the buy, sell, and run the businesses, but they have a whole operational structure. They hire executives out of major corporations, like the woman who handled the conversion of Spartan de Leon Springs
yeah,
to the Cerberus world on the operations was the ex CFO of Pepsi-Cola, or maybe CEO. I can't remember anymore. But
okay.
this is the kind of level of people they hire in this
Yeah.
operational team
Yeah, no
to come
dummies.
in and clean up the businesses before they try to resell them.
Okay,
So
okay,
that's one structure.
okay.
WasteBuilt was private family money. So,
Private
the
family
own
money sold or bought?
bought and sold, right? They built WasteBuilt from the ground up by 2 gentlemen who were their investors that were built the model and sold it to a private person who had wanted to invest in businesses with this private family money. And they went out and found 9, 10 companies of which that were all around the model of the waste industry that they wanted. They brought them together, made 9 acquisitions, did some I finally forced them into merging them. They did some divestitures, some carve outs. So
And that was still family money?
that was all private family money.
So it was a family wealth o it was like a family
Yeah.
office.
Yeah.
Uh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah. And then North Star was owned by Church, and Church is purely PE. Invest. They want to know that your strategies are growth, 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 and you're hitting your growth, growth, growth.
Yeah,
And we threw off so much cash in those years of COVID for them.
okay.
So, but they some of the challenges that North Star is having today as they were acquired by a strategic, namely GE Aerospace. I'm back in the megalith world, right?
Yeah.
GE Aerospace is 65 billion, UPM was 45 billion, Amoco Corporation was 60 billion.
Those are
So
big. That's big.
those are big conglomerates and big hierarchical nightmares, right? It's a
Yeah.
hard thing. These people are struggling immensely because, it's very hard in a PE world like Winchurch, where as long as your audit comes out and your auditors aren't unhappy, they don't want to enforce internal controls. It's private money. They don't have to. It's not publicly held. Well, now we're back in a publicly held world, and taking these people into a full blown publicly held corporation and
Yeah.
understanding those things are just it's of our 400 employees, maybe 20 have worked for a large corporation before.
Yeah, so they really don't understand. They probably don't understand the why behind it, huh?
Right. I spend a lot of my time teaching.
Yeah. Why do we have to do this? Or why do we have to do it this way? Or yeah, because you gotta be in compliance
Yes.
because you're rolling I mean, even though, my gosh, they're so big, rolling North Star into GE's yeah, it's like what,
We're not even
right?
a gnat on their ass, as I always like to say.
Yeah, they're not it's not even footnote
Yeah, we
in the
don't even we're a
financials.
dot. On a good year, we're a dot.
What's their biggest unit? GE Aerospace. How many different businesses do they have or different
Okay, so GE Company 2 years ago went through this basic what they call separation, and they
Mm,
spun off the 2 divisions that were highly profitable, GE Aerospace and another company, which is actually a medical company. The rest of the world, which used to be, for example, GE appliances, right? They still
right,
make GE appliances, but GE doesn't make GE appliances. They've
right.
sold they've sold that off and sold the name and that all that stuff that was left from hundreds of years, right?
Yeah, crazy.
Is sitting up in this big conglomerate called GE Company,
Yeah,
and it sits up there. Under GE Aerospace, I'm not even sure I can properly reflect this. I don't think I'm good enough yet.
okay,
We Here a division called P&AT, which is Propulsion and Additives Technologies.
okay.
There's Defense Division. Then there's Services Division is my guess is probably a better way to call that.
Mhm, mhm.
The engines and the services that they provide when they build engines, airplane
Right.
engines. Now, under propulsion and additive technologies, it's kind of the biggest division, standalone division is Avio, which is who we actually operationally report through. So Avio Aerospace is 5 billion alone. And
Okay.
again, we're 200 million under there.
Right.
So we're talking a dot, point two.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we kind of bridge both defense and PNAT. And we're still kind of carved out because one of the things that the PNAT team has done is taken people with notable, marketable name recognition in their industry. Now, Avio is a gearing division. We are a gearing division. So that's why we report through there. But Avio could not get into the US market because they, first of all, weren't a US company, but second
Yep.
of all, didn't have marketability in the US. And they bought us for that reason. That's why we kept the North Star name at this point in time.
Got
Now,
it, because they needed the branding.
right. I will not be surprised if we aren't North Star Aerospace and Avio Aero Company soon. That might be our next branding that comes out because they really want to get that business and that brand in the US, and we're the door for that.
Now, is there opportunity for North Star to grow with GE behind them?
Already is. Can't tell you
Really?
about it, but the
Okay.
opportunities already exist, and I'm
Wow,
on the
okay.
project team to get them started. So it's
That's wild.
exciting. It's
Okay.
very exciting.
Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, because you have that whole and people probably don't understand this, you have this whole, the defense world or being a defense manufacturer is a whole different ballgame. You can't be foreign owned and well, they are. How does that work? You know what I wanted to ask
No,
you?
we're owned by GE Company. That's why I said we operate under. So we are a US entity, wholly owned US
Because
entity.
you have to be, right?
I have to be,
You have
correct.
to be in order to be compliant. Yeah, because you don't want right, you don't want China owning you and involved in your, like
We don't want China to know how we make the propellers of our military helicopters,
yeah. Yeah, you don't
right?
want 'em to know this you don't wanna know the secrets.
That's
So,
right.
back in the day back in the day, Jack Welch, right? I mean, some of these
Mhm.
people here are probably too young to know who he is. Is he still alive anyway? I don't even know if he's still alive.
I think he's still alive.
Probably
We can
100.
certainly talk about, but Larry Culp is the magic here.
Was he like a protege of him?
I
What I
believe
wanted to
so.
ask was, the whole GE thing, the whole okay, so working for GE is supposed to be like everyone wants to work with GE. It's this magical company. It's got this amazing reputation. It has this distinct culture. And Jack Welch had this whole right. He wrote a book about it. What's the name of the book? I don't remember. What's the name of the book? I don't remember. But did they?
I don't
But it
remember
was,
it either, but I know that the book's there. And didn't he go out to anyways, keep going, sorry. But yes.
I should Google it. But it was always get rid of your bottom 10%. It was always shave your team. Do you feel that culture at all?
No, that's why I said the magic comes from Larry Culp.
And
And
he's
the
he's
people
a CEO.
there bow to him. He's the new CEO of GE Aerospace.
It says here, the man who broke capitalism, Jack Welch.
There you go.
Oh, here it is. Here's the book, Jack Straight from the Gut. That's the one I'm thinking of that made him that made this. I mean, there's 16,000 reviews on Goodreads on this book
I bet.
from Jack Welch. I'm just trying to figure out, let me look to see 20 years ago. All right, so he wrote this in 2001.
Okay.
Long time ago. Yeah, and he looked,
And he was
kinda he
basically
looked kinda
voted
old.
out.
He looked kinda old then, so I don't know how old Jack is these days, but anyway, it was a big deal, right? It was a big thing. People stayed at GE, they moved around GE, they went to different divisions, almost like BP Amoco is like that, right? Like
Yeah,
people stayed at BP,
exactly.
they moved into all these different divisions, all these different areas, different parts of the country. When I would interview people out of BP, there was a whole BP language. They would talk and act like in acronyms. Their whole resume would be one big acronym. I'd be like, you know what? People outside of don't know what this means. I do not know what this means. And they were so drinking the Kool-Aid. It was kind of crazy. Some of the CFOs that I met because they had a lot of those business units, right? Like all small CFO business units. And like, I'm the CFO of BPM. I go, but are you the CFO of BPM? I go, are you of this business unit in this product in this market? That's how
Yes,
they built it back then,
that's
right?
right. Business, that's absolutely correct. I'm
And
very blessed
corporation.
that I still have a CFO title, right? I'm
Yeah, it's
blessed because,
oh,
my boss,
I didn't think about that. I hadn't thought about
yeah.
that.
Remember, because we're a small little piece
What
of
else would they call
Avio.
what else would they call you though? I mean,
Um,
VP of
business
finance?
control, head of business,
Oh,
because I'm your operationally oriented financial person, right?
business controller.
They've stripped a lot of Ann Willie's team is still there doing what they call controllership, but the controllership is run in Avio and does consolidations. So it was kind of the
Right.
controllership for Avio was very much my role as divisional CFO at UPM. Mirror images of them, right?
Got it. So really
Right.
built the
So
same way. Yeah.
yes. So I'm kind of the head of business controllers. They call supply chain a supply chain, but I have everything underneath me, right? I still
Yeah.
have controllership. I have supply chain. I have business control. I have government accounting. I have FP&A. I have it all.
Yeah.
And so, and because I was experienced, who I consider to be my boss now, which is the P&AT division,
Yeah.
right? The divisional CFO, he fought hard for me to stay at that level, even though it was a smaller
This is the
company.
Avio guy that you get
This is the Avio guy, yeah,
I know
or
that
the
you liked
P.
him a lot. Yeah, that you
Yeah, I do.
When are you going to, Italy, by the way? I thought you were doing a trip.
I 4 weeks from this weekend.
Oh, it's coming up.
It is.
So let me ask you this. I've already kept you an hour, so I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I could talk to you for another 4. One thing that, and even Scott the CEO at North Star has acknowledged this with you is that like you hire good, like you
Yeah.
you somehow, some way have figured out the hiring formula for you, people that are good for you, for your team. So do you have, let me think here. Let me ask you this question. So we know you're good at hiring. So when you see leaders struggle, when you see other leaders struggle in hiring, right?
Mhm. Yep.
Do you think it's clarity, discipline, follow through? What do you think is the problem?
My gosh.
And
I
maybe
think
you
I
can think
told
of a
you.
person that doesn't do a good job of it, right?
Well, that's why Scott says I hire good, right? I have to check out my official title at North Star for hiring position is Anybody above a manager level, Becky must interview for culture.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because that's really the way I interview. And I mean, my great recipe is very simple on hiring. I have you. I'm sorry. And people don't
Thank you.
understand. You're welcome. And I
Not
thank you.
anymore.
Well, so far they haven't put their foot down yet. But
Not
right
yet.
now, I have a phenomenal team, and I only have you to thank for that
Yeah,
phenomenal
but you
team.
still the final decision maker, right? So you are
I
still
am.
the one choosing. I always tell people that, and this is why I'm so against contingent recruiting firms, is because, well, there's so many reasons, and not because I'm against the firms, but companies saying, "Hey, 5 recruiters from 5 different companies, here's my job. Here's your jump ball. Just send me a bunch of resumes," right? I mean, the
No.
kind of communication confusion that's getting to the market is absolutely insane. It makes no sense whatsoever. And when I was talking to Denny and I hire together too, like you and I do.
Yeah.
Once you get to know someone so well and you understand them so well, you become super efficient at it. And that's the pro to having somebody that you work with for a long time because it saves you a lot of time, effort, money, and energy. I mean, it just
Yes.
does, right?
Yes.
So you're not less resume collector. And I'm doing the training, right? I'm selling the masterclass training.
Yeah.
And that's part of it is the internal recruiters need to go about these conversations with their people in the companies the same way we do.
Yes.
And I don't think they do because I think that they're not treated that well. I'm not sure they're very valued in the corporate world. And the only way they're going to become valued and their status to go up is they have to up the game and how they have conversations with their internal clients.
Exactly.
They
I agree.
can't be afraid to push back on these people, right? So they have to stop just sending stuff and being, okay, first time out, right? Like, so they themselves have to step back and say, if I want to be treated as a hiring partner, then I've got to act like a hiring partner. And I've got to,
Exactly.
right? I've got to act like this, like the subject matter expert. And they're strong managers, right? So it takes a lot to push back. It takes a little bit to push back on people. Your position, people like you're intimidating to people, right? You're like, holy shit, she's intimidating. How am I going to go about it? But I think what people understand is that people in leadership, they handle pushback well because that's kind of what they're conditioned for pushback, right? And so they usually respond pretty well if you push back with a plan that makes sense. I mean, you've got
Yes.
to come up with a plan that makes sense. Anyways, that's kind of what I'm trying to raise the bar, with this industry because everybody hates hiring, everybody hates the process, the candidates hate it, the hiring people hate, everybody hates a lot of hate. A lot of hate going on. It's kind of crazy. But what do you
You
think is the
know,
biggest problem? What do you think that people have the biggest problem with when they try to hire?
so we were talking and discussing different strategies on how you recruit and bring the right people into your organization. And because I do have a lot of people that come with me from wherever, their answer is, well, how does it start? And I said, it starts under two methodologies. I said, first and foremost is that I don't have to do as much work because I do have you, right? You know the business, you know what accountants do. So if I tell you I need a cost accountant versus a balance sheet accountant,
Yeah.
you're all over it.
Yeah,
You
you're like,
got
"Yep,
it,
got it."
right?
Yeah, yeah,
I love my VP of HR where I'm at right now, but she doesn't understand the differences between those
yeah,
things,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So,
and it's
but
it's
the
hard
other
to be an expert in all areas, yeah.
Exactly. And the other side that comes from it is the hiring for the culture side and for the people that are that can find those people because you know me.
Yeah,
You know me and I mean, my goodness gracious, you prep every one of my interviews to let them know that if I slip and say an F bomb, don't be shocked, right? I mean, it goes down to that level.
yeah,
But it's the culture that I need people that are comfortable with this and open
yeah.
conversation and just free form. I don't interview for skill sets. I interview for culture fit. Do you get along with me? Do you have the right attitude? Are you excited about what we're doing? Can you handle change? Because there's a lot of accountants that can't handle
Well,
change.
yeah, it's not inherent to who they are, right? They like order, they like amount that's why they go into accounting. They like things a certain way.
And so when I was
Yeah.
talking with this consultant who is a PE consultant, and he goes, "Wait, you found a recruiter that knows how to do that?" And I go, 26 years she's been doing it, right? And they were just shocked.
Tell
They
them to call
didn't.
me.
I will. I told him that. I already sent him your business card, by the
Did
way.
you?
Yes.
My God, yeah, tell them. 'Em, I'll call them.
So, and he was like, "Really, you found?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's so hard to find." I go, "She's a partner. She's not just a friend. We've become friends over the years, but she's a partner. She needs to know what I need, and she finds what I need." And the skills are kind of an expectation. I
Yeah,
don't feel
the skills are easy, like, obviously, people if you put somebody in front of a hiring manager and they can't do the job, then I don't know how they got in front of the person to begin with. Like, you have
exactly.
certain requirements that have to be there. I'm not saying that you have to understand. But, I think the other thing, though, is that you put the time in. So it's kinda like when we have to do a hire together, you set the time aside and you walk me through that. You don't send me, "Renee, here's a job description. I can pay 150,000." You're like, "Okay, no, wait a minute. How is this fitting in? What's
What do you
happening?"
really want,
Yeah, well,
right?
yeah, the job description is just a list of stuff.
Right.
So you gotta go through all this stuff, and that's the key though too, is the investment in time. It's kinda like, my buddy Ken Kuick. He would do a brief with me before every interview and say to me, "What does this person need to know? What does this person need from me? What do they want?" So I can speak to this in the interview. Now, if I can't give it to them, then I need to also tell them that too, right?
Sure.
And so
Right.
one of the things that I'm teaching in this course is one of the most powerful things that internal HR people never do. I wanna shout from the mountaintops. They don't know how to tell the story.
Right.
They don't know how to craft the story. So what happens is when someone goes in and meets Becky Norris, my candidates come out and say, "It was exactly what you said it was. She did exactly what you said. She told me what you said she was going to say. The circumstances are exactly what you said." And so what happens with that is it builds trust right away out of the gate because you've already met their expectation of what we told them. Does that make sense?
Right.
So that's the psych game you're playing, right? So if they go in there and would be the opposite or there wouldn't match. If someone said to me, "I don't know what you're talking about, Renee. That's not how they're structured." And she didn't say anything about that. And so and so doesn't even, if you were misinformed, imagine what that does to the headspace of the person who's doing who's interviewing. And that's what happens when you send your search out to 5 contingency recruiters.
Exactly. And I don't wanna read a resume. I'm sorry.
No, of course
You can
not.
read the resume and tell me it's the right resume for what are the skill sets.
Yeah. I just
I
say,
I gauge an interview based on how much fun we had and how much we enjoyed talking to each other. Because if you enjoy getting into the conversation about the business and you're excited about it, and I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, right?
yeah,
But if we can have those conversations
yeah,
and just the conversation flows, the relationship flows, then this is a candidate that I can move forward with.
yeah,
And that also flows into why I end up having people that are with me because we have that bond of
yeah.
that's foundational passion. We want to do it right and we want to improve and we want to be good at what we do.
But I think the other thing that you do in interviews that I'm a big advocate of is that you try to make the person comfortable so they are their true self. A lot of people do the opposite. They try to trip them up. They try to put them in a pressure situation. They put them
I
all
had
these things.
somebody
Why? What's your point? I mean, I guess, if you want to pressure test a CFO and you want to put them in a pressure situation, maybe have them on the fly do a presentation. Maybe, I mean, I don't know, but at most levels, it's really not necessary to do that to somebody. And so you're really not getting the version of the person that's going to be walking into your door every single day. And that's the version you want to know. To
That's right.
your point, can I brainstorm with this person? Can we knock ideas around? Are they a good listener? Are they going to give me their opinions? Are they going to be forthright? Those are all the things that you're testing with these conversations with them.
But that's also when you started talking about different types of PE firms. I
Yeah.
find that same situation is a dual relationship with your PE backer.
I've heard that if you've got one that you're not on sync with, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, and I've had when I got the North Star job, I went on 3 different interviews with 3 different companies, and that first one was a nightmare. The
Yeah.
goal was constantly trying to trip me up. The goal was to see what he could get me to say or do, and this and that. And I'm the kind of person, in all fairness, that once I know what you're pulling and you've irritated me, I started telling him stories in the interview that I knew was probably making his whole body curl up in a knot, and just and when the interview was over, my recruiter comes to me and goes, "So how did it go?" And I went, "I think he has a problem with some of my transitions."
I think you got a fee on this one. That's all I'm gonna say.
I told him I dropped out of high school. That's how bad it got. I told him about when I dropped out of high school.
How did you get down that road?
Well, he was asking me about, why when I went to UPM, and I explained to him. I said, it was one of those times in my life where I took a step back, and this is how I did. Took a step back, and I dropped myself down to an senior accountant, even though I was a controller at the corporate other world. I said, sometimes you just need a break, and you just do some things. I said, it was kind of like high school. I just got a little sick and tired of the whole world of it all, so I dropped out of high school. I went back, clearly.
I think that's actually a great story.
He
But
was
see,
so irritated with me.
they also have this idea of how the route should be or this canned look of how things
Exactly.
should be. Yeah, I know, I
And
hear
I had
that.
this conversation with Scott just the other day. I said, "Scott, you and I are different." I said, "We worked our way up in our professions. There is not a job that I manage today that I didn't do at some point in my career, right? When I was doing the task
Yeah,
coordinating side."
yeah.
And I go, "PE people are looking for those people that come in with the Harvard and U of Chicago,
I
Northwestern."
know, they get so enamored with that stuff.
They
Why?
do, and these people have no practical knowledge of how things get done,
Yeah,
and it's so hard,
yeah,
you
but
know?
it's who they know, you know? It's like
Well, I
all
talked
that
about that with Ed at WasteBuilt. Come on, look at Ed's. He was a West
he has
Point
a
grad.
pedigree, doesn't he? He's got a
He
pedigree.
did.
Yeah,
West Point grad, U of
Jesus.
Chicago masters in accounting, and then, he and his wife met when they were working on the Harvard Business Review together, right?
Okay, yeah,
But conversely, that's why I had so much growth opportunity in that position, right?
yeah, because there's
Because
so much he didn't know.
right. I'm like, "Don't tell me how to run an accounting department. I know you have a CPA behind you, but you've never done it." Right?
You just haven't yeah, he was just smart, took a lot of education, passed some good tests.
Exactly. Taught
He was
about
good at academia.
yes. And he
Yeah,
is great at developing a business strategy, and then I got to implement. So it was a
yeah,
it was a
yeah,
compliment, and I learned so much from him
yeah,
on the way from more of the holistic business strategy side,
yeah.
but I had the practical use. I mean, I'm the one crawling around in the darn garbage trucks, right? That's when I was the CO of the service division, you know?
You
Yeah,
execute. You're
I
an
do.
executor. So one of my last questions, because I don't wanna keep you too long, because it's a Friday night and you probably wanna go to dinner.
My grandbaby's coming tonight.
Oh, what time is she gonna be there?
Not for another they're probably just leaving Springfield now, so not for 3 or 4 hours,
Oh,
but I
okay, they got a little bit of time.
babysit all weekend.
I didn't know she was coming in this weekend. How fun is that?
Yeah.
So, you've done a lot of ERP stuff, a lot of implementations. You have a super heavy systems background. Like, you're almost, like, just as heavy in systems as you are in accounting, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
Why do people fight why do the employees fight that structure?
Because they don't understand. You just said it best yourself.
Hmm,
I don't get it, right? Me and Kenneth, we've got that big process flow in our
yeah,
brains. And you want to talk about a process flow guru, your son Garrett. I'm telling you,
mm,
it takes a lot to truly impress me. But
mhm,
after being with us for 2 months, he built an end to end process flow that filled an entire wall of how we do order to cash, procure to pay, and then even tried to get the bidding and the operations pieces in around it with quality and stuff. I mean, it was impressive. So he's got a mad skill there too.
yeah.
But what I was going to say, why people get so afraid of it is they can't picture it. They know how to get done what they get done, and they
Yeah.
can't see when I try. They can't always see that the next opportunity is actually going to make their lives better.
So they don't see the big picture. at all.
Right. And they're afraid of the change because now they have to learn something new, and that's stress. And, the valley of despair is real. It's the
Ye
valley of despair. They look at it this going, oh my God,
Yeah.
you know? And until you can get them to the point of where they see that value, and this is where I talked about from a leadership role, when I tell people, I know we're working a ton. I mean, we had our first GE close at a quarter end, and a Saturday and Sundays are work days. We have 3 work days. Year end was done on Friday, Saturday, Sunday this month.
Did you did you already close year end?
God, we closed by Sunday, July 4th, January 4th, sorry,
You closed December and year end by
and
January
year end
4th?
by January 4th.
My God, that's a lot of accruals.
No, no, we actually didn't. I
Really?
worked really, really hard for the whole 6 months, having
My
them pull
God.
back the process. You can't leave for the holidays till you have this, this, and this done, right? This is
Oh,
the
so you guys didn't
process.
get much time off over the holidays this year, huh?
Well, we still got almost 2 full weeks. I gave my
Oh,
people 2
okay.
days earlier,
Alright,
so
yeah, they got some time
they
off
got
then.
more time if they got their work done. If they didn't get their work done before the 19th, they had to work over the holidays.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's me explaining that to, but when I say I don't want you to have to work
Mm,
14, 16-hour days to get done. I want you to we need to improve the processes and the systems and the tools so that you're
yeah,
not working hard, you're working smart,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's where the systems side of me comes in, is I'm
Mhm.
always looking at trying to find a better. Remember my job down in Florida, I was hired as the business systems architect, and I was an accountant.
I
Yes,
know.
I
You did
worked
all
as
those
the acting
16.
CFO the whole time too, but I did it because what have I said forever as long as you've known me? 17 years of SAP. Now I'm implementing a system in Oracle, and I'm implementing a system in Oracle that is a defense contractor, and I had to learn how to do defense contracting at the same time. But the answer I've always said is if you just let me design it up front, I can make it so much better for accounting on the other end. In typical
Yeah,
Becky fashion, shit flows downhill. If it's not right up front,
yeah,
what's going to come out in
yeah.
accounting is going to be bad.
And accounting is one of those areas that really tend to get really screwed up because they'll
Yes,
find people that have really heavy on the ops side in the ERP team, but they accounting and finance was one of the most important things that's popping out of this. And when it's not designed correctly, it's not
it's
good.
bad. It's
Yeah,
bad.
it's
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
So
Oh my
that's
gosh.
where the whole thing, and that's why the job in Spartan was seriously the most fun job I've ever had in my life. I worked a lot of hours, don't get me wrong,
Yeah,
but the
because you did
most
16
fun.
sites. Didn't you roll to 16 sites or something
Well,
crazy?
they eventually started to, but then Cerberus bought them. The sale went through, and then Cerberus put an end to all that because
Really?
they broke Spartan up into the medical device division and
I
then the
didn't
defense
I didn't
division.
know that.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
wow. Okay, that's crazy. Well, you are awesome. Is there anything else, any words of wisdom for any young leader out there that you'd wanna say?
I think you brought up the point at the end, and this is a preaching moment too for me. Embrace the
Okay.
change, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I just had this conversation this week, and it was so funny to have this conversation. But somebody said, "You're trying to make me put myself out of a job." I said, "Oh, no, I'm not. It's exactly the opposite. Do you not think that anybody that works themselves out of a job through performance improvement or systems improvement isn't the most valuable employee a company could ever have? It is your golden ticket to your future because people are afraid of change. People don't want it, and they're afraid of exactly that. You're trying to make me work myself out of a job. Why would I want to do that? Because you're so much more valuable to the company. You won't lose your job.
That is such a great statement because I think people are I mean, there's a lot of fear out there right now. What have you seen? And I know you and I have spoken about it, and you're not a big AI fan or else I mean, you're
Mm,
not overly sold about this. Is there any chatter in GE about it or any initiatives that they're doing or anything that you're hearing?
absolutely, absolutely. Everybody is putting a flag on it and calling it AI. It's not all AI, right? Because there's really a foundation, and this takes us back to our ERP. AI is nothing more than a really good ERP if you get down to it from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Because AI can bring out all these stories and these ideas of things that others have used around the subject matter. But if you don't, the whole point of AI in my eyes is to eliminate manual work.
Right.
Those are algorithms. They're not necessarily AI.
Right.
Anything that you can put an algorithm behind and make the system do it means you only have more time to know your business and use the data that comes out of it to
Yeah.
help grow that business.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think when AWS and there's a whole domino a couple months ago. I think it was AWS, Intel, Target, I forgot, but there was a whole domino happening where they're, oh, we left 30,000 people because we implemented AI. It's people, it's bullshit. That's not what happened. They use it as an excuse to lay off whatever they want to lay off. They blamed it on AI, and there's no way that they could have adopted anything significant in a couple of months that would impact their business where they had to lose 30,000 people. Like, it just
Yep.
doesn't make any sense.
Yes,
I
I
mean, unless
agree.
you were, again, to your point, I mean, I never really thought about that. We always say on AI. ERP systems have been creating efficiencies with technologies for years, right? Remember your analyst days 30 years ago and what you had
Yes,
to do to get the same output now when you know, you've got dashboards and BI programs sitting on top of, the ledgers and all the stuff that it can spit out. I mean, that's really no different.
that's right.
Thought
That's right.
analysts were not going to have jobs then. Analysts still have jobs.
That's
Even
right.
if AI can build the models, they just going to spend more time looking at the data and be able to
That's
make better
right.
and faster decisions on it.
Because no matter what you
Yeah,
find in the internet, it isn't your business. It may give you
it's not
ideas.
right necessarily.
If you're going to take some information that comes off the internet that the AI told you, you better be able to understand whether or not it's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, but anyway. Well, awesome. Well, I think that's a great way to close it down, and thank you for coming on. I know you've got a lot going on, and I really appreciate you carving some time out. So,
And
all
I
right,
love
guys,
talking with
another
you.
I know. I got you, girl. Another great episode from the hiring room, Becky Norris. Thanks for joining me in the hiring room. If you like the podcast, please subscribe below and share this episode with someone you think that would benefit from it. We're always looking for good people to interview. So if you have a referral, comment below, or you can email me at renee@mseedinc.com. Thanks. Till next time.